All right, and we've got, as we've just mentioned, 8 races to get through at Melton on Saturday night. Tomorrow night, of course, given that the podcast is launched on the Saturday morning. And J-Bond race 1 is the Tab. We're on pace, the 70 to 84, 17, 20-metre race. And you got my Uncle Stan drawn 60. You must be feeling a bit of love for this horse at the moment.
Oh, well, he got me excited on Saturday night. I thought I was going to end up with a nice profit. Just fell short in the end. But, yeah, the wide draw, and I think this is a harder race. This is going to test it. I reckon there's 3 potential mapping scenarios here. And what I love about mapping is it is a dual hemisphere job. So you've got the left and the right brain going, you've got the data, and then you've got psychology and intent.
Yes, and that which is so underrated, and that's where you get your edge.
And you don't always get it right, do you? But
of course you don't.
You try and place the odds or edge the odds in your favour.
J-Bond, I reckon I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 horses in this race that are in what I would call, you know how we all have our love stables where we've got horses that are just ours? Yeah. I've got 5 that have either that are in it now or been there for me. Ghost of Time.
Yes.
My Uncle Stan.
Is
this just fantasy?
5 minutes?
Well, arguably, but no. Radius, who has always been one of mine, and Final Collect. So will I be tipping one of my love horses here?
Is it rough to say that Final Collect has not gone near that performance or just had no luck?
What do you mean?
That win 5 starts ago.
Well, it galloped 2 starts back going forward. Mm-hmm. Last weekend, it was solid without being outstanding. It was fair, I suppose.
It was a big win 5 starts ago.
No, it was. Gee, it's what's the word I'm looking for? They go around just week in, week out, don't they? Compared to the gallopers, they're so durable. He's been in the fields nearly every episode for us, J-Bond.
I'll go back to my 3 scenarios here.
Yes, please do.
There are a number of quick beginners off the front row. So there's maybe more than 3, but these are the 3 most likely.
All right, let's call it up on the screen. Ththese are profiles, or
I'll give you the profiles first. Yeah,
righto. So you got the Beach Fantasy
has a great record when leading.
Yep. 7 starts, 5 wins at a placing, 71.43% win record.
Ghost of Time, similar situation.
6 out of 7 career wins.
Career wins have come in front.
85.71%, Bond.
And weirdly, is this just fantasy?
Oh, here we go.
How many starts in total is it
at? 12 or 13, I think.
Well, a few more than that, maybe 15. But 12 of them have come from draws 5 or wider or off the second row. So that's including the second row.
Yep.
It doesn't seem to bother. Is this just fantasy?
It's funny, though, isn't it? Because This Is Just Fantasy has a withering burst at the end and is a bit of what you would call in thoroughbred terms a swooper, which, in harness, they eventually find their way to bully to the front. He did find the front one night, but you were right. It's because half the field got scrambly and she found the top. But she goes back and runs on. So I suppose it doesn't hurt being drawn out a bit.
It's only 17-20 here. I always, my philosophy, if you go back over 17-20, bloody deal, it's very hard.
Yeah.
So here we go.
All right.
So my preferred map has Ghost of Time finding the front.
Tick. I'll tick this with my map. I've got only one map, but that's what I've got in front.
The alternative is that partially maybe, just perhaps, with Claymanis, the stablemate, drawn gate 8, the Beach Fantasy, who's got really good gate speed, fights like a caged lion. Leo, Mufasa, Simba, and kicks up to want to hold the front. Then you've got Douglas Runners, leader behind leader. All right? The third scenario doesn't change who's in front, but it's a question mark of if the Beach Fantasy wants to kick up really hard and Connor Clark just has one plan. Occasionally he does have. I like Connor. He's a nice kid, but occasionally he goes out there with one plan. He just says, I'm putting the foot flat to the floor, which I've never done because I don't drive. And even when I have occasionally, I wouldn't have done that. Not experienced enough. They open the race up maybe for sweepers like Is This Just Fantasy or Final Collect or Major Role. I am largely abandoning with my preferred betting here, scenario 3. And I'm going to have a major bet and a saver. And I'm glad you're not your preferred, Matt. Your solo,
My only map.
Matt, suits me because I think on HervBet, I have checked HervBet this week.
Yep.
Ghost of Time is $5. And if he's in front, I reckon he's like a $2.50 chance.
Wow, 250.
Yeah, 250.
Okay. Well, see, okay, this is interesting because I thought that the way the map works, Ghost of Time could find. That's J-Bon, enjoy. I thought Ghost of Time could find the lead, right? But then I thought, okay, the class runners for mine take major roll out because I'm risking it first up. Who knows what to expect after such a huge spell.
Be careful, not a dangerous tackle.
I've got Final Collect in Tier 1 with Is This Just Fantasy in Tier 1, and then I had Ghost of Time in Tier 2. Ooh. But here's where it gets interesting, though, because over the 17-20, when you've got Is This Just Fantasy drawn 7, and you've got Final Collect drawn 10, right, back row, all of a sudden, your tiers can change pretty significantly. So you might still have your 2 horses, but over 22-40, it was clear. But over the sprint trip, all it takes is just this fantasy getting that little bit too far back or the race not being quite run to suit. And Final Collect, just having to do that pinch too much work. And all of a sudden, it does open it up for Ghost of Time, who's out in front.
Okay. All this talk of tiers. My lacrimal ducts are just about showing to Weller. How easily did you have Ghost of Time finding the front?
That's tricky because I don't look. The Beach Fantasy we know gets out quick, J-Bon, but I don't think we know how quick. We know Ghost of Time can get out super quick, but drawn.
Beach Fantasy is a slightly better beginner, drawn a little wider as well.
That last run was a bit plain from the Beach Fantasy.
Mm-hmm. So,
can I just quickly throw this at you, Jace? Ghost of Time, right? From front lines at Melton, has had 6 goes at 17-20 from front row draws.
Oh, here we go. He's got his own data, isn't it?
Yeah. How many times do you reckon it's led? Out of 6 times?
Once.
Twice. Handed up once and been on the leaders back 3 times. By that, I mean, didn't hand up, ended up on the leaders back because didn't actually hold the lead.
Yeah.
Over the 22-40, 6 starts, it's led twice, handed up once, and been 1 out or 1 by 2 3 times when there's probably been an opportunity to really burn hard and find the top. The point I'm making is for a horse that I believe has really good gate speed, it's not always opened up, and we kind of saw this last week, didn't we?
I reckon if you look through that form, the reason he's ended up behind the leader is because he's drawn gate 1, and he's definitely not as quick a beginner off the pole.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's a muster, then build momentum. And that's why, well, you could make a case here. If they want to fly the gate with a horse like Is This Just Fantasy?
No evidence there yet that it can, though.
Yeah, but you've got I've got that funny feeling vibe just in my gallbladder, just around the pancreas region, that he's got the athleticism that it could do that. But whether they want to do that,
well, Jody Quinlan might be thinking similar, and so might Liam Older. I mean, is Springfield Affair? They all can go pretty quick early. Those horses out wide.
I think Springfield Affair, even My Uncle Stan, those 3 wider drawn runners have all got maybe slightly more gate speed than the Ghost of Time. But I think Ghost of Time will be able to build enough momentum, and I don't think they'll get across. I don't think Is This Just Fantasy will have enough of a crack. Anyway, I think he'll find the front. And if it was anything like $5, I'm willing to have a bet for the experience of finding it anyway, because if he does, I'm very happy with it. But I'll tell you what my saver bet will be if the Beach Fantasy holds up.
Yeah.
Would be each way Clymenis.
Don't mind it. Jack Law's chosen to drive Clymenis over the Beach Fantasy, drawn in 2. I mean, I assume Jack Law has the choice.
One of the critical keys here when you talk about that's why I asked you whether you think Ghost of Time will find the front easily, is there might be pace on early, but once they settle,
Yep.
I don't think there's pressure through the middle stages.
No, well, it'll all depend probably here on Jackie maybe and a horse like Final Collect.
But 17-20, I mean, it's like there's a very fine line about when you get to move.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying she would. I just think there's not too many horses that even could. I think it's one that could. There aren't too many others.
So I've outlined my early thoughts. What are yours then with your tiers in heaven?
Yeah, so I marked Final Collect around $3. I do a market to 105%, Jace, and to try and give myself something to lift the bar to actually get some sort of an edge. Yeah. And I've marked Final Collect at $3.50. I've marked Is This Just Fantasy $4, and I've marked Ghost of Time $6.50, and I've marked the Beach Fantasy $9. And I'm not overly keen to play in the race unless the price was right for Final Collect. I'd have something on Final Collect, I think. But I don't know if we're going to get. I have no idea what price we'll get. What's half bet?
Hervey.
Herv bet 420. So, look, I'm not that confident about the race that even if you gave me 420 about something I rate 350, I probably wouldn't touch it still because I'm not too sure. Ghost of Time, however.
Yeah. What price would you take Final Collect?
$5.
I can get it.
All right. Well, that's good. Yeah. So that'll be my play. I'll have something on Final Collect 1/3.
Race 2.
Race 2 on the cards is, as I just swap screens, J-Bon. This is an interesting race. We've got the Winks type form line about number 1 written in silk. Look at that. It's a picket fence, J-Bon.
The old picket fence, the 1-1-1-1-1. But I think it's fair to say from pre-pod VOD chats, we're both. I think you're even more willing than I am to take it on, but we're both very willing. I've got it leading. But we're both very willing to take it on here because there's an article around.
There is, and Steve Clark's quoted in the article, since he's had this horse, pretty much almost hasn't lost. And he doesn't believe he's got to the bottom of the horse. The plugs have been in the last 2 starts. It's been winning comfortably. There's a nice, I think he suggested there was a nice mares race next week that they could target if they get through this one, keep working through. And it was very confident talk from Stephen Clark. And it worried me a little, but then it also, you've got to throw those, you've got to throw opinions a bit out the window, as you know, J-Bon, as a form analyst. You've got to back yourself in a bit, and I wish I had done that in race 1 last week before we started dissecting the race within an inch of its life. But this is what happens. And I almost, and this sounds silly about a horse that's marked 350 on Herv bet and it's won 5 in a row, I almost couldn't find a path to it winning. But I think it'll lead early. But I think it'll relent to the Iron Duke because Cool Knight will be going forward as well. And I think the Iron Duke, I think if I was Connor Clark, I'd be happy to trail the Iron Duke.
I think Connor Clark is a very aggressive driver. And the fact that they've got such a good opinion of the horse, 1 + 1 equals hold up for me. And I'll tell you what it does do. It creates an opportunity for one of your adopted standard breeds.
All right.
The Irish one, Shadowed Celt, right. Behind the leader 3 poles at worst. But your faith and devotion has wavered.
No, well, it's not faith and you've got to. I like the horse, and I think it could cause an upset almost in any time it goes around Shadow Celt. But I just can't have it in this race. When I take the emotion out of it and my favoritism of the horse, J-Bon, I just couldn't have it.
Behind 3 poles.
Well, I mean, look, it'll be looming up. It'll be bursting through. But I've got others that
it'll be flying on. It'll be withering late. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's also behind Written in Silk, whether Written in Silk leads or settles behind the leader. And if you've got horses in the race that I'm considering, and I could have this totally wrong, but if I'm considering them a fair bit better than Written in Silk, then they've already off and gone by the time Shadow Celt gets out.
And to be honest, remember, no bullshit here.
Yeah.
You're a little bit worried that Written in Silk won't keep up, aren't you?
So Written in Silk, right? I know that the plugs were in last time. From what I could see, it was the start before. Can't remember. It raced against Animato, who was one of my long-time black bookers personally, and I was looking for it to get the win. But it's not a superstar, Animato. and to struggle to win a race like this. And Animato was carving into the ground of Written in Silk late, right? That's not the form that that's not the form line, in my opinion, to beat horses like Leyden and Clear Left. Even Captain's Catch, Cool Night, who we talked about, and the Iron Duke.
You know, we'll get to the profiles in a second. You know, I enjoy my Latin. The only caveat we have here, and that you must always have when a horse is a picket fence form line, is you don't know.
Of course.
You don't know what the next. But we agree. It seems like quite a level to jump. Here are the data snaps.
Let's have a look.
So written in
silk. Yep.
Leading. And actually, the recent record's even better than this. It turns it on. 9 starts, 5 wins, and a placing.
Yep.
Not leading. It's not good. But this
68 starts for 7
Captain's Catch has had 6 starts from second row draws for 5 wins. Now, admittedly, I did throw this up 4 for 5 last time I drew the second row.
Yeah.
And it was pulled out very, very late after acceptances, one might say. And
didn't it savage the line?
It savaged the line. I did mention going into the last start, even though I ended up leading its way. Captain's Catch, its record leading is not good. I don't think it's a leader. It has a burst, a turn of speed, this horse.
Yeah.
And I think he is clearly the fastest horse in the race. Herve, like the Wizard of Oz, Herve bet exists in the sky and is offering $16. If you can get $16 about Captain's Catch, that's a very decent each way wager, even from that extreme remote draw.
Now, J-Bon, you know I was the media manager, not the form analyst. My prices, pricing is a tricky game, but I marked at $9.
Even for you, so 9's 11%, 16 6, so 5% of value for you.
Yep.
I've marked it $4.50.
Oh, there you go.
I don't think it'll be. I'm not saying it will be $4.50 because I'm doing these prices more for myself than I would for the public. Maybe I'd be slightly more conservative, young liberal.
I think we used to when we used to do the form, it was about 130% we'd have to price into, yeah?
Around that, 130.
Yeah. So now I'm forcing myself to get down around 105.
Well,
in fact, I'm forcing myself to do 105 on every race.
I'll tell you what, Tara, Tom, and a lot of the pros used to do that you should try at one point.
Yeah.
Put a line through everything you don't think has any chance.
I remember that. Yeah. Oh yes, that's not bad.
So I'm happy under Herve Bet.
I love it.
Protocols to back 4 runners here, but primarily Captain's Catch each way. 1 by 3 on Shadow Celt. This feels really not nice.
Feels weird, doesn't it?
It feels weird. But 1 by 3.
Yep.
Price sensitive on Leyden.
Yes.
I'd want probably 657. It's about 650 on Herve Bet.
Was good last week, but Clear Left was better.
Yeah, it's all price sensitive. So Clear Left is $4 with Herve Bet.
Yep.
Again, if I was getting $5.50 about Clear Left, yes, Clear Left would be equal top tip for the race with Captain's Catch, but it's all price sensitive. And even Talara Shadow, 1 by 4, because as mentioned, gave up a golden opportunity to win, but still hits the line extremely well and is $21 with Herve Bet. So I'm avoiding the one like you.
Yep.
I don't much like this the Iron Duke.
So the Iron Duke beat Cetabello last time out when found the front at Kilmore from the same gate, pretty much, or barrier 3 here. You go back through this horse's form. It's only had 11 starts, 3 wins, but in my opinion, he shows a bit. He's not a bad pacer, and I think this race is there. I think he's in it just as much as anything else. I still think that Leyden and Clear Left, in my opinion, probably have the edge here on recent class.
Yeah.
Then I've got the Iron Duke from a map point of view out in front with Cool Knight. And Captain's Catch is the other one in my handful here. Clear Left, Laden, Iron Duke, Cool Knight, Captain's Catch. They're the 5 predominant horses. Then you've got Shadow Celt, who I love. But written in silk, Jace, I've mentioned the Animato form line. What I forgot to mention was that even though Animato was closing in on it recently, Animato ran during the week and was yesterday or the day before and was actually out sprinted and overtaken by Village Voice late. So how would Village Voice go in this race? And I'm not trying to pot Village Voice here, but my point is that this is seemingly a huge step up in class from written in silk. And if Jackie on Laden or Jack Law on Clear Left, if they can try and, put the foot down early and Mick Belbin on the Iron Dukes going and Cool Knight, as we talked about earlier, maybe now that he's found some confidence, there's just no guarantee that written in silk goes with them, but I could look like a right fool if it comes out.
Well, I don't always get caught up in mile rates. They can be very deceptive, can't they?
They can.
But I do take more notice of mile rates with horses like written in silk that have been winning. And 158.5 over the middle trip at Bendigo, which is second to Hamilton. Hamilton, Swan Hill, Bendigo, fastest tracks in Victoria.
Yep.
That's not amazing, is it? 156.5 over the mile at Cranbourne. There's just, if you could see something there that said, that a time said that it was ready to turn up and win at Metro level, it'd be a bit different, I reckon.
What she's clearly got on her side is the wins. She just keeps winning. But we're both in agreement there that it is a take-on job at 350 or thereabouts. And my plays, Jace, it'll be centered around those 5 horses I mentioned, but I've probably got Clear Left on top. So we'll just see what the prices come up. The third race, you go.
No, I was just going to say, race 3. We've got slightly different opinions here. Kai Valley. Well, I'm not going to steal your thunder.
Yeah, it's the trot over 1720. I just note Kai Valley Honey Bunny is also engaged for Melton on Friday night. So I can't click on that to call it up. I thought Kai Valley Honey Bunny J-Bond could lead from barrier 1. I don't envisage a lot of speed being put on in the middle stages of this race. And once it's out in front, I think it's good enough to win.
Very good run last start. And was sort of in the market somewhere. Last 5 times, people know I'm passionate about this. Last 5 times drawn the pole.
Yep.
Never led. Does have good gate speed. I think has better gate speed drawn out wide. Builds momentum better out there. 1720. Back to 1720. I was with Ewing last start. It led over the longer trip, copped a bit of pressure and folded up.
Yeah.
Like the Pies have in recent weeks.
But can I just say, the last time you look at it, right? The last time that it was from the pole, it was behind the leader. But Mufasa Metro was that leader. And Queen Alida won the race. And then you go back through a couple of times, and the reason it was drawing barrier 1 is because it was in those fast class races, J-Bond.
Yeah, so, no, there's no doubt about a couple of times it began well enough. You're dead right. It's something certainly worth taking notice of, that occasionally not driven out to lead, but there have been, going back further, I think occasions where, actually, I might tell a lie, I think it has led on a couple of occasions, but it's
got pulling pretty hard at Shepparton when it led out in front and got beaten by Elder Baron.
2 out of 5. I lied. So it's 2 out of 5 from the pole. But you look at sometimes when it draws out wider.
Yeah,
it looks like a really quick horse.
Yeah, no, true.
Ewing's got to have a crack early.
Yeah, it does.
Maestro, maybe not. Minimez being scratched is critical because it has got a wing on all 4 hooves.
I think Maestro
even begins quick.
Maestro could begin. Yeah, GC called it. Maestro could begin super quick, but being from the Brent Lilly stable, I think could help the pole marker here. Ewing's the one. I think it'll be interesting to see just how much now that Ewing's got to start, they hit the button. But I don't think Ewing can necessarily win this race. But Yeah, look, I'm confident on what I've seen that Kai Valley Honey Bunny can lead and win. What about? So I want to have a good win bet here, Jabon.
Okay. I don't know if I want to play in the race heavily, but I'll say this.
Yep.
I think, despite the fact that something obviously went amiss, the run was queried, but I don't know where to look up. If you can tell me what the follow-up to the queried run on Kai Valley Piero was.
I don't know. Sorry, not sure.
Just send it on if you can find it. That'd be lovely. Thank you, love. I think pound for pound, Piero's a better horse than Honey Bunny. And if your map plays out and it's behind the leader,
yep,
and we just sort of, what is it? Men in Black or whatever. You lose your memory. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. You forget the last run.
Yep.
I would be happy to take Piero. It's $7 with Herb Bet. I think that's good enough. And if there was a little bit of speed on, Ewing has a crack, leads, doesn't lead, Avant-Garde sort of balances up, tries to roll around, GC Quartermain. If there's good speed on early here, I feel like Mick Bellman obviously was very kind to the podcast on Facebook.
He was.
And it'd be great if on top of that kindness, he could win this race for us at $5 after Jasper led and got beaten after being, I think every single person in Australia, I actually think superannuation money went into Jasper in the last 5 minutes.
So that was my that was the day that he made those nice comments, and I said, well, make sure you get up and win the night on Jasper, and he said, fingers crossed, because I made it my best bet, and it all went wrong. It began badly. It didn't race all that well. It was a horrible night rain-wise. I think the Bombers got beat as well for Mick Bellman. He had a horror night. If it was the night I'm thinking where the Bombers got done, but never mind. Tomorrow's a new night, Jay.
He's a good horse.
He's a very good horse. And
so when you have these, we often talk about SP profile the other way, don't we? Where a horse starts at big odds 1 week, wins, and then they're asking you to take a ridiculously short price. He hasn't got the front row draw, so the gate speed is taken away. I get that. But when you start $1.20 in a similar field, or $1.30, and then you get, if we get $5, I'd be happy to. So Jasper and Piero would be the best.
Beautiful. I'll go Kai Valley Honey Bunny. I tell you, the market gets it wrong though, occasionally too, and sometimes I think it's. I've said this a couple of times now. Of course, there's great intel to come into it, but gee, sometimes the momentum is crazy. Roryville won last night or the night before at Shep. Was $2 something out to about $4.50 and absolutely dominated for David Moran.
Perfect class.
Yeah, perfect class last week. Not that we're having any sort of.
Didn't lead, but
no. Race 4, J-Bon, is the last leg of the early quaddie, and it's it's a fast. No, it's a 65 to 79 trot, and I think Sequence finds the lead here.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if it means much, but I think the last 3 wins for Sequence, who's building its own picket fence form line, have been over the short.
Sounds about right. Let's have a look. Yes, and one of them was Charlton was the middle trip, but that was probably an easier race. Yep.
So Aldebaran, a Q, a Crux.
Yep.
I don't think it's. There's got to be a big boob around. I did notice Rob Hall
yes.
About 220.
Yes, he's and that means Rob's got a good opinion of this horse. And you mentioned that on the pod last week.
I think gate 1 is the worst possible gate for it at the moment.
He's only had it. It's only done it once and galloped.
Yes, but just has that. Yeah, I don't think it's good.
I think it could be 3 poles, Jace.
Really?
I think that Sequence and potentially El Rosamo could get across.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Have I got a data snap of it?
Let's have a look. Yeah, I think you do have a data snap on. Let's here it is. It's in relation to More Wanted, firstly. Record when trailing.
So you might have 4 poles because More Wanted's going to get across it first of all.
Oh, there you go.
And I don't know what... I didn't check her bet for this price, but 10 starts off the trail, 8 placings. No wins, so we're not backing it to win. We wouldn't back it to win, I don't think. Although it only just got beaten by a hatchback last start, didn't it? Anyway, maybe a place. But El Rosamo, who I've got in front, 4 starts, 3 wins, and a placing. So Sequence is. I don't think Sequence is quicker than I think El Rosamo would have to hand up to Sequence.
Well, I mean, that was my assumption, to be honest, but you're right. Barbetti doesn't often hand up, and he doesn't. I don't know why he'd hand up in hindsight on El Rosamo. My feeling was Sequence would come out on roller skates, but El Rosamo would come out quick too. They'd get to the lead sort of together, and then Sequence would just run to the front. El Rosamo would happily take the cover. But
Maybe.
I can see what you're saying too. I can see that scenario
I
coming to play.
I don't know pound for pound. I think Sequence is the better horse.
Well, Herbie's on Sequence,
But
and
pound for
this is
pound,
not a knock on Barbetti, but I think Herbie could probably get Sequence off the gate quicker. No,
I love the way. I love the way you calling him David. It's just like that guy at school, Winnell. Hey, Winnell.
Well, when we talk about the footy,
We didn't know one for basketball.
When we say footy, we don't say we don't say Scott, do we? We say Pendlebury or
You do say Nick
Petrarca or Gorn.
Jake Stringer. So I'm thinking El Rosamo. I get what you're saying.
Yep.
Betty at Herbert's. But anyway, I think El Rosamo. I'm happy to have a bet on El Rosamo on the expectation and anticipation it might lead.
And at what price?
I'll tell you. I've got it written down, the prices that I'd require. And I would require a price of, I've said 450.
Okay.
Right? And the other one I would want to back, but I was hoping Herbet's got it exactly sort of not far off the mark here. But remember Sir Patrick on its way up looked like a really, really nice horse.
Yeah.
And I spoke earlier about the habit of losing. Well, Sir Patrick didn't just win last start. He blew them away. And if he's got his confidence back,
yeah,
and more wanted, easy picking sometimes even runs the gate. El Rosamo, Sequence, Ebony's Avenger might have a crack. Kai Valley Amanda may even have a crack. They might go ballistic early.
They'll be going forward. Yep.
And if they run a solid lead time here, the big boy with a change in pilot.
Yes. Tristan Larson goes on. Yep.
Larson is going to be on. It wouldn't shock me at all if Sir Patrick just balanced up and just went Bushka. So tricky race again. And once again, we've got slightly different opinions. But the key here is I can hear with my ears, my big wig nut ears, exactly what you're saying. You make strong points.
Yeah,
I don't. Points.
I'm not sure I want to play in the race though, Bon. I've got 4, as I say, 5 leading 4, but I've marked Sequence 270. I marked El Rosamo 650. I marked Sir Patrick about $18, but that's based on the 4 and the 5, right, running to the lead, which means Sir Patrick gets shuffled right back, and all of a sudden under my scenario there's no speed on. But there's also a scenario where the speed is on, and then he's right in play.
Just before we get into the pod quad, that is one aspect of pricing, though, I think that is critical for people to understand. You've almost got a price in percentages. You got a price for what your preferred likely scenario is, and then work out how likely is that, and on the 25-30% chance that doesn't happen, what price would Sir Patrick be then? And then you've got to amalgamate the two. Anyway, that's how
No, I agree. And if I was publishing the prices, he wouldn't be $18 because I'd be doing more of that. But with my new model of trying to get to 105, it's just for my own personal opinions. You've just got to. I'm finding myself taking on horses to get to 105% and basically pushing them right out and saying, Cody, you've got to rule some of them out, and I'm taking them on. It's
a good challenge for everyone to have a crack at. Pod quad started?
Yeah, race 5, and we've got 7 runners in the first leg, 8 in the second, 6 in the third, 6 in the last. So it's not big fields for the quad.
And none of them are easy races, but definitely not the first legs of quad.
Well, how did you see the first playing out, Bon? My map was 4 leads with 3 on its back and 6 in the breeze.
I wouldn't want to commit here. So the 3 Wild Bull begins quickly. Does it want to hand up to He's from Heaven? Mickey to Success is as I learnt when I was having a mild myocardial infarction last start, is a work in progress in terms of its gait. I don't think it'll charge yet. Some American does like to lead. I thought Some American might be able to find the front, but I'm very much seduced by what you're saying because I want to back. I didn't know if it was much good leading into that last start win, but the way He's from Heaven won, I think it'll win the race.
So do I. We've both tipped it on top. It's it dictated the speed, right? But then
last
Greg
half though.
26.9 third quarter, I think it was. It was Greg, wasn't it? Yeah, opened. Was it Greg driving? Yeah, it was last week. He wasn't up in Brisbane. Yeah, opened the horse up big time with the favourite out the back there, and he just sprinted, and then he finished it off. He kept on going. So, some would say, oh, yeah, sprinted a half and all this. No, professional early, got where it needed to be, and then just put the foot down and can run 800 in, what was the...
54.2?
Yeah, 54.2, and made a mess of him.
Well, here's another critical thing for people who are getting into the trots. How often does the Candyman win by any further than he has to?
Yeah, good point. And
he wasn't asking. He wasn't like. I don't think he was. He wasn't driving thing yet.
no,
it just looked an athlete.
He's obviously classed as above Duke's Choice, but Duke's Choice had the trail and couldn't keep up, and he's been in pretty fair form recently. High Above was a solid run. It was a solid run, but just
one of those horses from Lara J Farm with Greg aboard. They don't win by 16.2 metres.
No, it's a good point. And so
it's a nice horse.
He's won
under my map. Some American leads. What price would I take compared to if He's from Heaven's in front? Either way, Herb Bet says $3.20, and I think it's not amazing value, but I think that'll do me.
I marked it $2.40
in 105% market.
And I marked number 6, Some American, $2.60. And then I marked Smoke and Ace at $8.50. Mickey to Success, $11. And write your own ticket the rest.
Well, I'd have Mickey to Success a lot shorter than that market. But
Herb Bet certainly does. 280.
Even accounting for that, though, with your 105% market, you're betting into 130% market, right?
Yeah.
Even if we shorten up Mickey to Success, then yes, you're with me. You're well and truly willing to take $3.20. So that's the way we're going with a line.
So let's talk about the pod quad leg 1, Jace. How are we playing the pod quad? Because we do want to fancy wanting to stay alive after the first leg.
4, 5, 6 for me. But Mickey to Success is going to be a point of contention for us.
Well, no, look, since you've got that in, then let's throw in the other one that I'm saying, Smoke and Ace, which you'd say hard to include just on face value looking at that last run, but I don't think it'll be burning off the arm maybe compared to what it did last time because it was gone. It was gone too far out, but Some American also didn't win the race. So
they ran staggering time. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't hate to see it burnt off the arm again because it nearly got across.
Yeah, fair call. Well, let's go 4, 5, 6, and 7 for the pod quad.
Rightio. Second leg, the high gain, light foot laurels. Lighter foot, not me. I've got flat feet.
I've marked one
in the armed forces.
I've marked one of them $200 here. I can't remember who that one was.
All right, Ben Craig.
The Lightfoot Laurels, J-Bomb, for the mares, 8 runners. I reckon there are 2 clear chances in this. Actually, there are 3, but there are 2 that I'm most keen to settle my thoughts around.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure I know who they are.
Yep.
And I have a love affair with one of them.
Yes, you do.
And I will be backing her. Normally, I'd prefer to be... There's a cavoodle here wanting food. Just give us a moment, Nico. Normally, I'd prefer to be tortured at Guantanamo Bay rather than have a bet in a standing start of this nature.
Yep.
That I'm against stands. Again, we don't have a lot of them. And that actually plays out. That's a segue, isn't it? It plays out significantly here because the 2 Elder Barons, I think, have had one standing start experience between them.
Yes.
I did go back and look at the trials. Miley a bit scratchy away, I think, on a couple of occasions in recent educational efforts from the Strands at the preliminaries. But one thing we know here is that Virginia Clowers has done it plenty of times. Arguably, could be the best horse in the race regardless, but I've got a good feeling that she will be in front of Aldebaran Vera, her major danger, within 100 metres. And if that's the case, she will win the race.
Yeah, I agree. I think,
You're two Vera and Clowers.
They are. They're the main two. Loves a stand start, as you've mentioned, Virginia Clowers. It's won 5 out of its last 6 starts, 4 of them from the tapes. Whereas Vera has not got the record or the confidence necessarily to be just saying, all right, let's go. And that gives Virginia Clowers that really important initial advantage in a stand start race.
I'm not sure Vera actually, sometimes you look at a horse as well and go, I'm not sure Vera seems like a stand start horse straight off the bat either.
No, could surprise us, obviously, but I agree on what we've seen. You've got to sort of back the one that you know handles the conditions, and that's Virginia Clowers. The other one who clearly handles the conditions is Sacred Mountain, the New Zealand horse. Snooze said last week, don't expect too much. I wonder if we're expecting a whole lot more against the mares here in this race, J-Bon.
It would be third pick, but I've got a pretty well-worn philosophy that they don't win off 20 very often. I know the small field helps.
Yep.
But the fact that I've gone back, he's actually been off the unruly a couple of times over in New Zealand, but he begins well, really
okay.
well, as most Kiwis do. But I don't think he'll make up a yard on Virginia Clowers in the first few hundred metres.
Yep.
So from there, what's the best case scenario? Like you're in the breeze, or you settle within. He's not going to settle worse than probably 12, 15 metres off of them, but I don't see him being able to make up that ground on a Virginia Clowers or an Aldebaran Vera.
And if they're still building up the fitness and whatnot, then maybe it's not tomorrow night anyway. So we're both in alignment again, J-Bond, for Virginia Clowers as a clear top pick. I marked Virginia Clowers at $2.80.
$2.20. That would align probably with the different percentages.
True. And I marked $3.20 for Vera.
$2.50. $2.50. Yeah, pretty close.
That lines up again, I would have thought.
So did we only have those two in the podcast?
If we're taking on Sacred Mountain, and a little shout out to Berries and Cherries, who doesn't do a lot wrong. And I want to just shout out too to Taylor Yule, who I thought drove a fantastic race last time out on Aldebaran Miley. Put that horse into the race at exactly the right time, J-Bomb, when they slowed that second quarter, I think it was, and did everything she possibly could to get that horse up.
Well, I was involved, obviously, and I was hoping.
Yes.
And Aldebaran Miley does, in that situation, it was a good win from Kai Valley Amanda because Miley does dig in and did dig in.
Yeah, Miley's tough, isn't she? So, but all right, are we just saying the 2 for the pod quad, numbers 4 and 7?
Honourable mentions, I think, to Miley and Sacred Mountain, but yep. 4 and 7.
Sounds good. All right, race. We're working through this well, J-Bond. 3 to go. Race 7, the third leg of the pod quad.
2 to go.
2 to go? Yeah, you're right. 2 to go. Race 7 is the...
You do race 9 after I've left.
No, that'll be good. The Jane Ellen, the Garage Jane Ellen Mares Free-for-All. And these last 2 races are really interesting, and I'm keen to get your thoughts on the maps, Jace, because I struggled a bit. I think intent is going to be to the fore here.
Oh, again, Andy Gath. Again, small field. I'm not getting myself too much in a muck lather about the map here.
Yep.
I think Treachery and Soho Historia are both extremely quick. So What is fast.
Yep.
Fiamma, reasonably fast.
Reasonably.
Hero Rebel has the speed, but I don't think we'll use it.
Agreed.
Likes to balance and roll.
Yep.
But here, let me do this little appraisal for each runner.
Righto. And I'll jump in with a little comment where needed.
I don't like... Oh, that sounds harsh. You can't dislike them. Fiamma's not one of mine.
Yeah, she's never been one of yours. I've picked up on that. And
what price is Fiamma? We've got actually a market here.
Actually, sorry, we do actually. We should,
A real live market, a real boy.
So rare that we don't open 310, which is extraordinary stuff in my opinion.
310.
Did I mark it in my 105% market? I marked it $21. So 310 was extraordinary. Out to $4.60.
So no hope. I'm giving it none. None.
No, I've got it none. No hope because I think it'll be 3 pegs for starters. And then you've got to be better than those in front of you, and I don't think it is.
So what would need a lot of luck, but I'd have so what head to head over Fiamma. I'd have every day of the week.
Well, I've got so what behind the leader, and I agree. And it opened 51 and is still 51.
You almost feel like for your quaddies, you'd want to have 2% riding on so what, wouldn't you?
You would. I think let's throw it in the pod quad. Number 3, Treachery, J-Bon.
I'm going to couple these two up. I think Treachery and Soho Historia. I think Soho Historia is going better.
Yep.
But I reckon they've both absolutely leveled out at this. And I don't think either of them are going well enough to win.
But do you think Kez and Jody, two of the teal superstars of many, many years, J-Bon, do you think they're both going to come out handlebars down? Because Jackie will be out quick too, and Fiona will be as quick as it can when they put a driver on.
Yeah, but what even happens then? If Treachery holds Soho Historia, does it keep the front?
Well, I don't have...
Maybe the light, does it hand up to Soho?
I don't have Treachery going forward then. I've got Soho Historia pinging forward and taking on So What for the lead.
And then it holds it or hands up to Major Delight?
Holds it because I just think it will. And I've got Major Delight going to the breeze.
Yeah, look.
Soho Historia is going well enough, isn't it? I mean, Major Delight's won 19 to 24. There's no getting away from that. Let's keep going. We're going through the runners though, J-Bon. We're up to number 5, Rakiro Rebel.
So coupling those, well, this is a good comparison. Where Treachery and Soho Historia are at, compared to where Rakiro Rebel is at.
Yes.
I think they're different, aren't they? Rakiro Rebel's come from 190 metres off them and finished second last start.
Rakiro Rebel's run was enormous. Soho Historia, I wonder if that Ladies in Red run doesn't look as good given her next 2 starts now. Is that unfair? Maybe it is.
Excellent.
Yep. But Rakiro Rebel is a legit, I've been saying this for a while. I think, in fact, it's funny now with Ladies in Red, I put on Twitter not that long ago that it could be the number 1 mare in the land within 12 months. And the way things are aligning, that could still happen because it is a legit fast class horse, not just mares fast class, J-Bon, fast class.
But here's the key. I've backed Rakiro Rebel at $4.80. I marked it 220. Right.
Let me just call up my 105% market. I marked it 280.
Pound for pound, the way they're going at the moment, I think she's the one to beat. But it is a bit Braveheart. It's William Wallace going up against an army here. And that. Just say Major Delight does stroll to the front, Rakiro Rebel decides not to go forward, and then Rakiro Rebel's virtually last in the run. And they're not doing much.
You've just then got to be the best, don't you? You've just got to be the best at that point.
But by a space. So
yeah. Well, so what always goes forward. Doesn't matter what the odds. It always goes forward and makes a race of it. I don't think there'll be any just jogging to the front because I think it'll get across Fiamma and then I think it'll make nearly anything except Soho Historia, who's got the push button speed to go straight across it.
Yeah, so I think Soho Historia can just pick it easily.
Okay, so you've got sorry, your scenario would be then if Major Delight found the lead easily, that's because Soho Historia's got there. Yeah, gotcha.
But Major Delight, obviously, early doors. We were talking about the next Ladies in Red, yeah?
Yeah, well, it has a pretty awesome record and it's a pretty impressive $4.20 at open. That surprised me, but that's the other one I had 280. I had Major Delight and Rakiro Rebel equal faves 280.
I marked it favourite. So at the end of the day, I'm looking at the race like this. I've had a decent bet on Rakiro Rebel.
Yep.
And a saver on Major Delight. And to be honest, I don't think anything else can win.
I want to be on Rakiro Rebel. I think it's a great price and it's a top pick. I did want to get a price check on Soho Historia, but it hasn't opened up anywhere near what I would want to back it. So for me, it's Rakiro Rebel.
Pod. 5
2.
and 6, mate.
Yeah, so what are we thinking? Because remember, we can't stagger the pod quads. Do we want to put So What in because of the price and that no one else will? Or
I agree. 2, 5, 6.
Yeah, let's do it. 2, 5, and 6.
Yep.
All right, last race, J-Bon, is a interesting little puzzle. We've got 2 Melbourne superstars in Gorn and Petrarca going head-to-head. We've got the Pirate Horse resuming. We've got Cosimo and Dolagiri, 2 of the Julie Douglas durable types that just keep going around in these sort of races. And then we've got Yambuckian, who I must say, Jace, it was a very good run last week.
Very good. It was a very good run from Yambuckian. It
very, very nearly came to fruition, and then it actually completely didn't come to fruition.
If only Julie Jack Sparrow began, it would have. But anyway.
Can I put a question to you, Jason? Right off the bat. Can Yambuckian or Yambuckian, can it actually lead this race?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do I think it will? No. Can it? Yes.
Why wouldn't it then, if it can?
Because it's possible, I'm saying, but basically, a couple of runs ago, Gorn drew well.
Yep.
Sweet Passion, who's a very, very quick beginner, I think quicker than Yambuckian, came out on roller skates.
Like a startled gazelle.
Like a startled...
Craig Rail, shout out to Craig.
The Manangatang marble, you catch it. So it but couldn't get across. Whether the intent was massive to get across or just it did drop in behind the leader, which was an ideal spot to run second on that occasion. But I feel like Gorn can muster enough speed to hold Yambuckian. The question is then, all empirical evidence at our disposal would suggest that the ruckman for Melbourne is not quite in the same class as the superstar utility.
Agreed.
And if that's the case, Petrarca should be winning the race. Was it a little bit of the first up run was a little bit, I don't know. It was.
Let me call up my
operative line. You can't get beaten by a better horse, but
yeah,
it was a good run without being phenomenal. But we've spoken for a long time, ad nauseum, ad infinitum, and all the other terms about the fact that Emma Stewart runners often improve significantly second up. I think the market's about right here. So Petrarca, yes. The question for the pod quad is: do we include Yambuckian and Gorn?
I think you have to. My ratings, J-Bond, that I give post race, I actually rated Petrarca, Crime Rider, Operative Line, and Jillaby Jack Sparrow all exactly the same, and that's only based on the run that night and what the horses turned up to do.
Yeah. Gorn also, despite winning last start,
well,
has always been a bit suspect over a middle trip, so that's
100%. And they got what was their first half? 60.8 home in 55.4, so was entitled to be finishing on. But that's also got to be in Jordan Leadham and Andy Gatt's mind with Yambuckian, doesn't it? You can straight away put the foot down and put one out of play, then it becomes all about Petrarca.
But Gorn isn't, under the circumstances we find it for ourselves here.
Oh, yeah, no.
I don't think you just let Yambuckian pass, do you?
No, you don't. You don't, but yeah, geez, it'd be gone a fair way out if it did too much but then burning.
The question is, does Petrarca just sit there then, or does it whip around and still take the... Here's my question to you, because you are a man who likes to think a little off-Broadway at times, a little left of centre in a number of ways.
Yep.
First up.
Yep.
Tiny knockout hope or not?
It did win first up last prep over this trip.
Went for a fresh record. His overall fresh record isn't Magnus to be yet.
But I don't think so. I think it'll just be. I just think it'll be crossed quickly here by Gorn, then by Petrarca or by Yambuckian, and I just don't think this is his race, unless they somehow do end up declaring war and the whole thing opens up. In which case, Cosimo probably comes into play.
Well, I would nearly include Cosmo. If Cosmo, if the best of Cosmo is going around at the moment,
Yep.
I would genuinely consider throwing him in. But I think he's not. I can't see how the three higher rated runners are all going to excrement the bed.
No, I agree.
We're in a pot, aren't we?
Yambuckian was a big run last week. Would it have to produce a similar gut-busting run to win here, potentially?
Well, one of the big question marks always in races like this is Yambuckian is war-wearied warrior. He's been there and done that. Can they even handle what he throws at him?
That's the interesting.
Wave.
100%. That was front of my mind today when I was looking at it, thinking, well, okay, Gorn, I don't think so, and Petrarca hasn't sort of proven that level yet. So there's, Andy, and they've got some weaponry here with Yambuckian, and I'm warming to it. I'm warming to it, Yambuckian. I really am.
Yeah, you can definitely make a case.
But I'm tipping Petrarca by about that much. But I'm warming to Yambuckian.
Well, but Andy Gath will be he will have it set in his own mind as well. He'll have an opinion of Petrarca and Petrarca in particular.
Yep.
And the tactics that are employed in the race will be representative and symbolic of whether he thinks he can come out there and just.
Yeah, there's 20 grand. There's 20 grand up for grabs here, and there's a 6-horse field, and you could make a case that a couple of them probably won't be winning, right? I think this is game on for Yambuckian, and the more I look at it, I'm still going to tip Petrarca because the way the map I think will work out will suit Petrarca, but you've got to include both of them in the pod quad. You absolutely have to. Is there a third one?
Good.
Okay, so 2, 3,
and 6. Run, maybe Petrarca leads it. Yambuckian still lays down the law, and he's just sitting there.
Yeah, true. And then just
I feel like he's getting to be a better horse. He's getting more professional.
Yep. And I do like, if everything went silly, Cosimo's not the worst. It's been an eye catcher, but
I just don't think he's just not quite there.
He's not quite there, but small field. What's the thoroughbreds when there's a small field? Funny things happen. Maybe not so much in the trots.
No, it happened. No, it does.
Do you want to put it in or not?
No.
Okay, 2, 3, 6. So the pod quad's 4, 5, 6, 7 in the first leg, 4 and 7 in the second, 2, 5, 6 in the third, and 2, 3, and 6 in the last. J-Bond, to wrap us up, give us some best bets.
Hang on. So go for time.
Yeah.
Race 1. If we're getting the $5 herb, something like that, and Clemens is a saver. I do think Captain's Catch, if you're getting anything like double figures each way, I know the draw's awful. Maybe Shadow Celt, 1 by 3 each way. Rosamo. He's from heaven. If there were 3 that I really wanted to have a go at, 2 of them Lara J Farm, he's from heaven, Rakiro Rebel, and my girl, Virginia Clowers. About 14 horses there. Codes, yours.
I'm very keen. Kai Valley Honey Bunny, he's from heaven, Virginia Clowers, and Rakiro Rebel. So, they're all going to be pretty short, but not super short. They're all backable, those horses.
And we're not that we don't do it every week, but this feels like a betting we're going to have to think through the game plan very strategically.
Yeah, I think so. Can I give you 2 for Friday night, 2 for tonight while we're at it, J-Bond?
Hang on, I'll ask.
Is it at Melton?
Yeah.
No rules here. Race 6, number 5, Aureus, was a pretty big run last week in the race won by He's from Heaven. Took off 3 wide and really stuck to its guns pretty well from back in the field from an impossible position. $8.50 on Hurv bet, if you don't mind, for Aureus tomorrow at Melton or tonight. And race 9, as I said before, I rated Crime Rider's run really, really good last week. This horse is so close to another win. If it's $7.50 on .org, I'm on that as well. So Aureus and Crime Rider are my 2 for Melton Friday, J-Bond. And I can tell that even if you haven't looked at those fields, the fact that those 2 horses are going around is making you want to say there might just be an opportunity here.
Well, a little shout out. I heard from him from a bit, but got a message from the Candyman Greg Sugars the other day and VMG McRae. So I'm thinking of Aureus in that same world.
It was 1 bet last week, wasn't it? It was only 1 bet you wanted to have on the Friday night card, and you beauty.
Still back at that. Well done, Coates.
That was good, mate, and a great chat with Michael Stanley. We had Brittany Graham on week 1. of the interviews, week 6 or 7 for the pod. And Mickey Stanley, terrific fella on for this week. I wonder who we'll have next week.
Could have gone another hour with him, but we'll keep, now that we've built some momentum, let's keep progressing forward and get plenty of these guests and have some wonderful chats, mate. Well done again. Enjoy the weekend.
You too, J-Bond. Thank you very much, and good luck on the punt to all.
God bless.